Okay, so questions about the interview. Okay, when you get here tomorrow, I will have an envelope, blank envelope for you, and you will put in that envelope 2 or 3 things. 2 things that need to go in the envelope is a printed out copy of your transcript from your interview, if you're doing the interview, okay? And the other thing is a 1 to 2 page reflection over what you thought about doing the interview. And then, how are you going to turn in the audio or video? That's the next question. Okay, I've already had, I believe it was Grace sent me a file. Yes. Yes. And I have a file in my email for 2022 interviews. And I'll put it over there. And then when I go to grade them, I will open the audio or video file, start playing it, and follow along in the transcript. Now, I can read a lot faster than I can listen to a transcript, just like you guys can listen to faster than you can type one. As I listened to my daughter yesterday, transcribing hers, hitting start, stop, start, stop for a couple of hours. Okay, it took her. Okay, I don't know. So listen, I spent 6 hours yesterday grading book reviews. So, hey, we all got to deal with it. Okay, so those of you that are doing, we've got a couple different things. Ryan, Zeke, and Joseph. So that's not Joseph's backpack? Okay. All right. Or is it Cohen? Cohen already did his. We got 3 book review presentations left over the Cold War, right? Let's go Thursday. All 3 of you. It's been moved to Friday. Yes, the Eagle Cup event has been moved to Friday. Weather. Yes. Okay, and you can wear sweats or jeans, but no shorts. I know. I don't know.
Wait, so is the government test on Thursday then?
The government test is still Wednesday. If you're not here Wednesday, you'll take it Thursday.
During class?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean?
Just get it done.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, that being said, there's a lot of history left that I want to teach you. And I'm sorry I didn't put this up earlier. I did put this up on the Canvas about 20 minutes ago. Okay. So I'm going to go through this. Some of this stuff is really good. And I think you'll enjoy this part of history. A lot to cover, but let's get to work. What do you say? Okay. Yes. Questions?
So
you can give me a thumb drive. You can email me the audio, video, however you want to do it. What else?
And then, so with this, do we really need to take notes?
Are
we going to take a test?
These notes are up. Yes, we will take a test.
Oh, I thought
Yes,
the last
another
test was my
test.
last.
I did not say that.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't.
You said
Hey, listen. I'm going to go. We'll see how far we get through this. I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, we're having presentations in here. I got Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. I got 6 days left with you.
That's a lot of history.
That is a lot of history I can teach you between now and then. Grace, question? Yes. Okay.
I intentionally didn't try that hard on my last test.
There's no crying in honors history class.
Dude, you can't stop the last test.
I can't.
I thought that was going to be our last.
Kick you out. Now, are you ready?
Yes.
Guys, all right. So, bringing the boys home. All right. There are some women, obviously, coming home too. Okay. But by mid-1946, guys, our armed forces went from 12 million active duty to 3 million active duty. Now, guys, 3 million active duty is a lot. Like today, we have roughly 1 million. Okay? And that's not, I don't even know if that's active duty. A lot of that's reserves. Okay? So we've traditionally had a small standing army during peacetime. Okay? Otherwise, you know, the commander-in-chief, people look for a reason, you know, to stay busy with the military, which isn't necessarily a good thing, as you can imagine, because war sucks. Yes? This one was a big one. Now, so Truman was a little bit worried about the disintegration of our armed forces. However, we were still the only nation with this. Okay? Now, Russia would be getting it before too long, but we're still the most powerful nation coming out of this. Now, you are going to have two superpowers coming out of World War II. Okay, the Soviet Union and the United States, who were allies in World War II. Okay? So, what are we going to do with all these troops coming home? The ladies. See Rosie the Riveter up there, right? Rosie the Riveter and thousands of other jobs across the country were filled by women to help us win this war. And the boys are coming home. And they need jobs. What's going to happen to your job? It's going to go to a soldier. Okay? Now, they may choose not to go back into the workforce, but rather go to college. So Congress was actually prepared for this huge influx of soldiers back into civilian life with what was known as the Servicemen's Adjustment Act, nicknamed the GI Bill of Rights. Okay? So certainly when Lipinski was talking to the Army, they told him about some of the benefits under the GI Bill. Okay? Like paying for your college. Yes? Post 9/11 pay.
Yeah, there's a
Bill.
post 9/11 bill, but all the same stuff, but better.
But better.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay? Because, guys, it's tough to recruit, and you want to recruit good people, like Mr. Lipinski, okay? Leaves our country in good hands, right? That gives you faith in our armed services. I think it does. Some of the guys, hey, I just saw this on Facebook the other day. Kyle Yerke going to be flying the F-16. He posted on his Facebook. He graduated in 2019. Kyle Yerke, little guy. Okay? Awesome kid. Awesome kid. Did track and stuff. Yeah. I'm so pumped for him, man. Like, he's flying the F-16. It's freaking awesome, man. Okay? So listen, these guys that are getting out, guys and gals that are getting out, they build hospitals for them. Yes? These are called VA hospitals. Veterans Administration. Like this one on Kellogg. That one's named after? It's on Kellogg out east on the north side of the road.
Yes.
What's it named after? Famous Kansas veteran, Bob Dole. Yeah, it's named after Bob Dole, Veterans Hospital, okay? So veterans are able to use these like Coach Laubon. Okay, Coach Laubon can go to the VA for health care. This is why when you see veterans, oftentimes when they retire, they try and retire in cities that have these hospitals. Okay, there's one down in Pensacola where I grew up. It's a Navy town. They have a VA hospital. Okay, these veterans are going to get preferences in government jobs. So let's say you're building one of these government hospitals. You need construction workers. Well, veterans are going to get hired first. Or if you're going to staff this hospital with doctors and nurses, well, veterans that are doctors and nurses will be chosen first for these jobs. Okay, anybody have a problem with that? I don't have a problem with that. Okay, they're also going to earmark or set aside money, okay, to loan to veterans for homes, buying a new home, and businesses. Okay, starting new businesses. But the biggest part of the GI Bill, guys, was the last one. Free college and job training. And 8 million American GIs will take the government up on this offer at the cost of $14.5 billion. Okay, now, You guys remember when I talked about during the Depression, how college enrollment sank by a third? You don't remember that? Well, it did. Okay, so when did we get out of the Depression? During the war, okay, but we were in a war, so fewer people were going to college because a lot of the young men in this country were fighting in a war. Yes? Now, get there when you can. Okay, and then let me ask you this: before the Depression, prior to 1929, when people went to college, there were generally two types of people that went to college. Who went to college? Rich people and really smart people. Okay, so now you're going to take a bunch of these veterans, 8 million of them. Some of them left high school early to go join because you could join at 17 with your parents' permission. Okay, and we're going to say, hey, you're going to college. Now, what percentage of these GIs, that many of them been off the war for at least 2 years, many more than that, are ready for college in 1946? So what are colleges going to have to do to accommodate all these soldiers? They're going to have to lower their standards. They're going to have to expand their campuses, yes, and lower standards. Okay? Welcome to the modern American college. Okay? You guys have heard this, right? When you go off to college, how easy it is, some people say, compared to Bishop Carroll. How many guys have heard that before, especially like junior college? Right? Because you get thrown in to a college with a lot of public school students. And this isn't to bag on the public schools, but guys, public schools have high and they have low, just like we have high and low achieving students, yes? But what percentage of kids go to college? I mean, like almost everybody in the senior class, I would say, how many are in your class? 290? Yeah. Really? I would say at least 250, 260 are going to college. Right? Am I right? Okay. Are all of the graduates from here ready for college? Maybe better than they are if they graduate from South High with the same GPA. Is it harder to get a higher GPA here than it is at South High? Of course it is. Okay? So listen. If you're teaching English 101 at Butler Community College, and there's 35 kids enrolled in your class, and you have tough standards, like college standard, 13th grade, freshman English, and you have really tough standards, what's going to happen to your class? It's going to shrink really fast. And you know who's not going to get tuition checks? Butler Community Colleges are going to get tuition checks. They're going to lose money. So what do? They lower the standards. Okay? Now, it really pisses me off that my son has the same GPA in junior college as he had here, which tells me he's not applying himself. When he was at home and going to Bishop Carroll, his mother and I, right? Now he's off on his own. He's like skirting by. What's your GPA, Jack? Well, it's going to be right at about 3. Right at or below or right at? He says, no, I think it's going to be a 3. He got out of here with a 297 out of Bishop Carroll. Yeah. Come on. Should have a 4.0. Junior college? Yeah, junior college. Yeah, I went to junior college. It was lower than Jack. Hey, I can always say this to my wife. Hey, he's doing better than I was, honey. Look at how I turned out.
Your history teacher.
Hey, I feel like I'm successful at it. Yeah. Yeah, all that. Okay. So, should I go back to school? Okay. This is good. Okay, so, yeah. Now, not all of them graduated and stuff like that, but hey, it does have an impact on our system, okay? Now, next slide. We got this new powerful weapon, splitting atoms, right? Using fission, okay? Now, some of these materials like uranium and plutonium, if you learned how to do this, you might be able to do it on your own. So what the government did is it made a monopoly on all fissionable materials. Like you're not allowed to possess uranium-235. No. Not without a government approval. Okay? Now, did we find any peaceful uses for fission? Like what? Nuclear power plants. Okay, so the Atomic Energy Commission is established and to look for peaceful uses of nuclear power. Hi, how's it going? Hey. Oh, neither one of them are here. They're taking the AP test. Okay. You might be able to get it to them 6 or 7. Yeah, so guys, nuclear power plants. Okay, and I don't know if I talked to this class about this, man. I need to post this video for you guys. I saw a video of a guy that was a hardcore environmentalist. Like, for 10 years of his life, he dedicated himself to pushing wind and solar in this country to diminish our use of fossil fuels. Hey, that's a novel idea, okay? On his part, he was all about it, okay? And then after doing this for 10 years and seeing the results of building huge solar farms in the desert and the impact that has on the environment in the desert. You know, there is an ecosystem in the desert, yes? And it is being destroyed by these solar panels. These wind farms, guys, you know the destruction they do to birds. Okay? And it's not insignificant, ladies and gentlemen. And either are the solar panels when it comes to birds. Okay, when these large birds, like we're talking hawks, the big ones they have out, the condors in California, and so they have nowhere to land. They land on these solar farms. They die. They fry immediately. Okay, and you've got other wildlife that is impacted. Okay, then the wind farms, how long is the life expectancy of one of those turbines? Yeah, I mean, and then how much oil do you use inside that and to make the turbines? And then you can't recycle them. They're fiberglass. So you're going to have all this waste that you're going to deal with these wind farms. Okay, there's a lot of downside to it. And this guy, after 10 years of pushing this, said, look, I'm convinced the best way to go green in this country is to go nuclear. The technology we have today is way better than we had in the 1940s and 50s. These nuclear power plants are way more efficient, safer, and so forth. I know people don't want them in their backyard. Okay, I know that. But guys, there's a lot of space in this country where it wouldn't be in somebody's backyard. Okay, you look at Germany and they just, they're almost committing suicide by doing away with their nuclear power. France gets 85% of their electricity from nuclear. Okay, 85%. Instead of burning fossil fuels or building wind turbines or huge solar fields, they built nuclear power plants. Germany got rid of a bunch of their nuclear power plants, trying to go green, and all of a sudden, oops, we're dependent on the Russians for our gas so we can heat our homes. Oh, that sucks. The Russians invaded the Ukraine. Now we've got to buy oil from this thug, Putin, that's threatening nuclear war or world war. That's a bad idea. Shooting yourself in your own foot. Okay? And you listen to our current administration, not to bag on the Biden, but dude, they just keep pushing and pushing and pushing on this, and it's like a religion. And we need to think smart here. What's going to be best for the people of this country? For the economic interests of this country? Johnson, you got a plan? Let's go nuclear. Let's go nuclear. I remember when Obama ran, Obama said, I am for an all of the above approach. I like that. All of the above includes nuclear. Did we build any new nuclear power plants while Obama was president? One. We just finished one in Georgia, like last year. Now, I don't know if it started under Obama. It was a big project. All the cost with nuclear is up front. Okay? And then once it starts running, you recoup that money pretty quick. Okay? And these things can heat, cool, electricity for millions of houses. Okay? And I know the wind is doing that for a lot of people right now. Okay? But you have to look at the whole picture. And, I like clean air, clean water. I'm all for that. Okay? But unless you have a good alternative, I think it's stupid to push something that is inefficient, ineffective, and does harm. Sorry. But it's a discussion we need to have as a nation, I think. And it needs to be not political. It needs to be honest. And it shouldn't be that hard. I mean, everybody wants what's best, I think. Okay. So in 1946, you worry about after the war, like a slowdown in the economy because you had so much production during the war. Okay, this actually turns out not to be a problem, except for, ladies, sorry, that you're going to lose your jobs, okay? But you're likely to get married. And you're likely to start having some kids, yes.
What would happen was absolutely refused to give up her job? Would they just fire her and then?
Yeah. You need to leave the premises.
Just curious. I was just curious. I don't know.
No, Caitlin, that happened quite a bit, like in Wichita. At the defense factories, Boeing went from making military aircraft to civilian. And a lot of those jobs went to men. Yeah. Now, some of the women were like, okay, yeah, I've done my part. I'm going to go home. And I'm going to marry my boyfriend that went off to war. He came home. We're going to get married. You guys know the baby boom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so houses will be built. Families will be made. Okay? So there's not like a big unemployment situation here. Oh, sorry. I was trying to slide that. Okay. Labor unions, however, they're going to seek wage increases. Okay? This happened after World War I, too. Nationwide railroad strike, coal miner strike. Truman's upset about this, okay? And so he wants to seize both industries and say, look, force them to go back to work. So Congress attempts to pass this national emergency bill, okay? This is pretty interesting stuff, okay, which said if you are a vital industry, like rail, like coal, because we were still heating our homes with coal, a lot of us were, and that's a vital industry. If you go on strike, Truman wanted to be able to fire them, lose your benefits, and be force them to join the army. Dang, sounds kind of authoritarian there, Truman. A little bit. Now, can the president fire people and force them to go join the army? Does he have that constitutional power? No. Okay. However, guys, there was a subsequent passage of a national economic emergency bill when it came to strikes. Now, when Bill Clinton was president, UPS workers went on strike. UPS, the ones that deliver packages, yes? Now, that's kind of a big deal because they deliver millions of packages every week. But are there other postal carriers like this? Yeah. The U.S. Postal Service, FedEx, right? DSL is another one. You heard of them? Okay. Yeah. So there's other people that can fill the market gap. All right. They just got to hire more people. So Clinton could have maybe called a national economic emergency there. Now, when Reagan was president, the air traffic controllers went on strike. These are the people that prevent planes from flying into each other in the air, but more importantly, guys, at the airport. So if you go to O'Hare in Chicago or Hartsfield in Atlanta, which is the busiest airport in America, in Atlanta, okay, you have planes coming and going all the time. So those people that read radar to make sure that planes are landing and taking off at the right time, they don't crash into each other, is a big deal, yes? Do you have to have a college degree to become an air traffic controller? No. What do you have to be able to read? Radar. Okay. Is it a stressful job? Yes. Okay. Is the pay great? Not great, but it's okay for not having a college degree. They went on strike, wanted better wages, better working conditions, and so forth. And they could not reach an agreement, and they threatened to go on strike. They went on strike. Ronald Reagan instituted this national economic emergency bill saying, look, if you don't go back to work, you will be fired. They called his bluff. They didn't go back to work. Reagan fired 11,000 air traffic controllers. Now that's going to create a disruption to our air travel, yes? Where can you find people that know how to read radar? The military. So he brought in the military to run the air traffic control and train brand new employees to learn how to read that. And those 11,000 aircraft workers never got their jobs back. What's the moral of the story? Don't mess with Ronald Reagan. Now, the irony of the story is this. When Reagan died, they named Washington, D.C. International Airport Ronald Reagan International Airport after he fired 11,000 airport workers. There's your irony. Okay. Hey, Reagan used to be the head of the, he was an actor, right? The Actors Guild, which is a union of actors. Reagan used to be the head of that union before he became governor. Okay, so he knows about unions, and he said, look, you guys have good pay. Yeah, it's a tough job. Go back to work. You're going to get fired. Bye-bye. Okay, now, inflation. Hey, we know what that is, right? Okay, now, we're going to have inflation after the war, because listen, the Depression started in 1930, right? We go through the Depression, through the war. During the war, did we have rationing? Did we have price controls so that people wouldn't gouge during the war? Yeah, we had all that. Okay, now guys, there's going to be a correction. One, we're out of the Depression. Two, we're out of the war. There's going to be a change in prices. And so Truman wanted price controls. Congress said no. And 1946-47, wholesale prices on food, clothing, and fuel all went up 25%. It had to happen, guys. It had been artificially kept down by the government. Okay, the market's going to decide. Now, this is 1946-47. In 1946, in the congressional election, Republicans won both houses of Congress. Okay, remember, Roosevelt had been there forever. The Democrats were doing well during the Depression and all that. After the war, Republicans take control of Congress with a Democratic President Truman. Now, we're going to talk a lot about this Congress. It's called the 80th Congress. Today, we're in the 117th. This is the 80th Congress, 1946. Okay? Now, here we go. Here's your 80th Congress. Now, the leader of that group, like if you go back to 1994, guys, you study politics, who was the Speaker of the House that led the Republican Revolution in 1994? Got a funny name. He's from Georgia. Newt Gingrich, okay? So this guy, Robert A. Taft, is the Newt Gingrich of 1946, okay? They called him Mr. Republican, all right? He ran for the presidency, didn't win the nomination in 46. In 40, it would have been 48 would have been the election, okay? What do Republicans want to do? Well, they want to reverse much of what happened the previous years during the New Deal. Okay, this is their first chance being controlled since the Depression. So they want to cut spending and undo the New Deal. Shrink the size of government. Sound familiar? Okay. The leader here, son of Robert Taft, or of Howard Taft, right? Howard was the president. Right? Howard Taft, yeah. He was the fat one, right? Stuck in the bathtub. Okay, this is his son. Where are they from? What state? OH. Again, which state has produced the most presidents? Ohio. Okay, now, guys, just like 6 years ago, the governor, I might have been more than that, a few years ago, the governor of Ohio was attacked. Okay. So, Taft is a conservative. Okay. Now, in government class, we talked about Barry Goldwater, who ran for president in 1964 as a conservative. Yeah, the one they painted as crazy. He wasn't crazy, but they painted him as crazy, right? Where he said, extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice. Oh, that word extremism, right? He's a wacko. He's crazy, right? Now, this getting into the mind of a conservative. Conservatives feel like you can't legislate, pass a law that creates prosperity for the individual, equality for the individual, or opportunity for the individual. So, Mr. Johnson, let me ask you a question. Can the government pass a law today that makes you, Michael Johnson, prosperous? They could pass a law that says we're going to give Michael Johnson $1 million. Would you be prosperous?
Yes.
It kind of depends on what you did with that $1 million, right? Like you could turn that into a business and like become really prosperous, yes? So in reality, ladies and gentlemen, how does one become prosperous? Work ethic is a good one. Now, some of us are born with different talents, yes? Some of us are born with really high aptitudes. Some of us are not and become social studies teachers. Right? Right?
Right.
Okay? Keon, I could try really, really, really hard to be a good writer. But I don't know if I'd ever become as good of a writer as you are. You understand? You have a gift. Yes? Artists. Jewel, like your sister. She was given a gift. Yes? God gave her that gift, and she has used it, and hopefully she'll continue to. But prosperity, guys, comes from hard work, education. Some of you are more prosperous in this class than others. Yes? Gabby, you still have an A in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you get that A?
A lot of hours of studying.
Yes. A lot of, no, she does. You should see her notes. They're meticulous. When Lily's aunt and uncle were here, they were watching you take notes. Yeah. And they commented on her notes. Okay. That has allowed you to be prosperous. Okay? If you don't take all that time. Now, Andrew Latham can sit in here and just listen, right? And I know that's unfair, right? It's unfair, but it's not unfair. He can do that. Okay? He's got personality issues.
Tell it to him.
He's in the other class. Okay? Okay, let me keep going here. Okay, I'm going to pick on somebody else. Hagarot, can the government pass a law today that makes you equal with everybody else in outcome? How? Okay. What do we call when the government controls all that? Economically, communism, right? Like we could all be equal in outcome. Otherwise, government can't really do that. Now, the Declaration of Independence says all men are created equal, okay? And then the 14th Amendment says we shall have equal protection under the law for all citizens. Yes? Okay, that's not what we're talking about. That's equality under the law. This is equality in outcome. Okay, and no, unless you want a communist system, you can't do this either. Okay, well, let me ask a question. Pick on somebody else. Caitlin, can the government pass a law that gives all of us the same opportunity in life?
They gave all 18-year-olds.
You have the opportunity, but you
Okay,
can't have access to it.
okay. What do we do in the United States right now to try and ensure that everybody has the same opportunity to be successful in this country?
What's the act?
Education.
Oh,
K through 12. Do you have to pay anything for that? No, you don't. You don't have to pay anything. Now, everybody pays property taxes. Everybody pays taxes. Yes? Okay, nah. Talking about opportunity. Okay, education. Now, you guys know who Ben Carson is. Dr. Ben Carson. Okay? He grew up in Detroit to a single mother. Poor. Okay? He's one of the most renowned brain surgeons in history. He's black. He came from very little and achieved. Now, you think he's got some talents, you know, like Andrew? Like God gave him that gift? Probably. I would think so. Okay. But at the same time, guys, not every school and every situation for every child is equal. So let me give you an example. A child born in Andover, Kansas, to two parents that both parents have college degrees, versus a child that's born in Oakland, California, to a single mom who's a crack addict. Does that child have the same opportunity? It's not really. Not really. Now, the education system in that case needs to be good for that kid in Oakland. And we spend $19,000 a year per student in Oakland, California to educate them. Has that fixed the problem? No. You can throw money at this situation. It will not solve the problem. Technology will not solve the problem. You can give that kid a laptop computer. You can give that kid a tablet. You can do all that, spend all this money, and you're not going to change it. Because that child was born into a tough situation and lives in a tough neighborhood. Okay? So what we have to do as a society, I think the most important thing we can do is provide good education for these kids. You follow me?
Yes.
How are we doing on that? I got an idea. Let's let the public school teachers unionize and give them all the power so they can keep the status quo, so we can't reform the system. Because paying the teachers more will solve the problem. How do you do that?
Hire all 1,000 people.
Okay, how about if you do pay them more, okay, you might attract better candidates, yes? If you make $80,000 a year as a teacher, you attract better candidates into education. Probably. Like, for instance, my wife, right? Super smart. Okay? Math, chemistry, she teach whatever you want. She can teach whatever you want. She's super smart. Okay? But does she know how to teach? Do they teach you how to teach in the education over at Wichita State? When I got my teaching certificate, did they teach me how to teach? No, they don't teach you how to teach. How do you learn how to teach? You get up in front of a group of kids. You start to figure it out. What works and what doesn't work. Yes? Yeah, they can give you some stuff. Okay, they teach you how to write a lesson plan with objectives and, all that, right? Yeah? the biggest hurdle I think we face is discipline. You understand? So like if you're in a public school and you have kids that aren't doing what they're supposed to, disrupting the class, you need to be able to remove those kids because they're hurting everybody else. You understand? So, Joseph, if you interrupt my class again, then I'll just send you to the hallway. Okay? And then if you really piss me off, just send you to the office. And we'll have a meeting about it. And we're going to call your priest. Okay? Consequences. Right? Listen, in most public schools, guys, you send a kid to the office, you know what they're going to do? They're going to send him back. Say, that's what you're trained for. You need to deal with this situation. Well, the kid was freaking dropping F-bombs on me. What do you want me to do? Fix it. So I take 10 minutes to explain to this kid why he shouldn't be dropping F-bombs or threatening me while the other kids just sit there. We need to fix the education system. You understand that? And teachers' unions are going to stand in the way of that because they've got it good right now. And they want to keep it that way. Now, not all teachers are part of the union, and even ones that are part of the union are not bad people. Okay? But the union itself looks out for teachers, not students. Why I'll never join them. It's raining again. Okay. From a conservative point of view, that wasn't smart. This comes from Americans working out their own destiny, okay? All right. Oh, speaking of unions, let's talk more about unions. Because I know you guys like learning about this. Unions, yes? You know a little bit of this already because I've taught you before if you were paying attention, okay? You've got two types of unions. You got public sector unions, people that work for the government, and private sector unions, people that work for private corporations that unionize. Okay? Now, guys, unions gained power under Roosevelt. Now, the Republicans are in charge. They're going to take back some of that power with what's called the Taft-Hartley Act. This is still law today, Taft-Hartley. Okay? It outlaws what are called closed shops. So let's say there's a union called the United Auto Workers that every auto manufacturer, Chrysler, Ford, what have you, they all have unions. So you want to get a job with Ford Motor Company, you got to pay union dues to the United Auto Workers just to get an interview for the job. That's a closed shop. Okay? So you had to join the union first. Those are illegal across the 50 states. Okay? Then you have union shops. Now, states could choose to be a union shop or a right-to-work state. You choose. Kansas is a right-to-work state. California is a union shop. Washington State is a union shop. If you look at the map of blue and red, it kind of matches the union shop versus the right-to-work states, as I'll show you here. I'll cover my eye back, okay? So this is about 15 years ago. This is more recent. So the dark blue are right-to-work states. So in Kansas, you can go to work anywhere and not have to join a union, okay? Here in Washington State, if you work for Boeing, and there's an engineering union or a sheet metal union, you have to join the union. That's called a union shop. And I ran out of time. So I'll pick up from there. You guys that are doing presentations, we're doing those on when? Thursday. Bye. I know you guys are finding this stuff interesting.